By the time the emergency shareholders meeting was called to order, the bruise on Dr. Maya Ellison's cheek had turned the color of old smoke. Makeup blurred the edges, but under the harsh conference room lights, it still caught the eye, a faint shadow that refused to be erased. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over Atlanta, but every screen inside the room glowed red. Stock tickers rolled down, one after another. News banners blared the same phrases over and over. Controversial black CEO. Mass firing meltdown. Ellison grand scandal. Maya stood alone at the head of the empty boardroom table, fingers resting on the cool, polished wood she had approved years ago. This building, this company, this hotel chain had been her answer to every locked door her parents had ever faced on the road. Now, the same world that once praised her as a pioneer was asking if she had finally gone too far. Her phone vibrated nonstop on the table. Eleanor Briggs, chair of the board, attorneys, PR, messages from people she had not heard from in years, suddenly concerned about optics, not about truth. Mixed into the flood, one short subject line kept popping up from every direction. Travis Cole. Some emails called him a loyal manager under attack. Others called him a liability. All of them treated him like the center of the storm, as if he had not been just a man in a black suit who decided he could put his hands on her in her own lobby. Something terrible had happened inside the Ellison Grand Hotel, and the world had already decided the story it wanted to tell. Shareholders were nervous. Board members were restless. Anonymous comments questioned her sanity, her judgment, her temperament. The slap itself was less discussed than the way she had responded to it. Maya turned toward the glass wall that overlooked the atrium below. From here, she could see the gold letters mounted high above the lobby, the Ellison Grand, the name that matched the one on her passport and on every corporate document in this building. The same name Travis Cole had sneered at when she said, "This is my hotel." Was it still hers if the people who owned the majority of the stock could vote her out before noon? Was it still hers if a 9-second edited clip could overwrite 20 years of work? A curl of fear slid under her ribs. What if they actually did it? What if this was the day she lost everything she had built? Not because she was wrong, but because it was easier for the system to punish the person who refused to stay quiet. She could feel the old anger rise with the fear. He hit me, she thought, jaw tightening. He hit me in my own lobby, in my own house, in front of my own employees. And somehow, I am the one they keep calling the problem. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass, doubled over the ghosted image of the atrium below. The faint shadow of the bruise sat on her cheek, like a watermark the world could not quite delete. Maya lifted her hand and touched that spot lightly, feeling the dull ache beneath the skin. The cameras had captured the moment his palm connected. The internet had replayed it 1,000,000 times. But the part that hurt most was the realization that the slap had never been just about her. That slap did not only land on my face, she thought. It landed on everything I ever believed about justice in this world. A knock sounded at the boardroom door. Voices gathered in the hallway. The meeting was about to begin. The vote that might strip her of the company she had created. Maya drew in a slow breath, eyes lingering one last second on the gold letters far below. Hours earlier, under those same letters, she had walked into the Ellison Grand as just another guest with a suitcase and a reservation. Maya, what if the system does not protect you the way you think it does? Alicia Ramos did not bother with hello. Her voice crackled through the car speakers as the town car turned onto Peachtree, the Ellison Grand rising ahead like a glass crown. Maya watched her own name glide past on the hotel signage, the Ellison Grand. It still gave her a small jolt every time. Her navy dress was simple, her suitcase compact, her hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun. No stylist, no assistant, no security detail. Ellie, I wrote half of those systems, Maya said, smiling despite herself. There are cameras in every hallway, complaint hotlines, anonymous reporting, contracts, policies. If something is happening in that building, I will see it. And once I see it, I can fix it. That is the thing, Alicia replied. You are assuming they want it fixed. Maya ended the call with a soft promise to grab dinner after her mystery shop. Her thumb hovered a second over the screen when she hung up. The number 37 still sat in her inbox. 37 separate complaints about discrimination at the flagship property in less than a year. Some from guests, some from staff. all filtered through neat HR language that made them sound like minor misunderstandings. She stepped out of the car into crisp morning air. The doorman glanced her way, eyes skimming over her dress, her skin, her modest luggage. Before he could reach for the door, a white couple pulled up in a silver SUV. His whole posture changed. "Good morning, folks. Welcome back. Let me get that for you." He left Maya to open the heavy glass door herself while he hovered over the new arrivals, laughing at something the man said, already reaching for their bags. It was small. It was nothing. It was exactly the kind of nothing she had come here to measure. Inside, the lobby gleamed exactly as she had designed it. Marble floors, soaring ceiling, light bouncing off the chandelier. The kind of place her parents would have avoided when she was a kid, certain the answer at the front desk would be no vacancy the second they saw their faces. At the desk, Jordan Pike stood behind a monitor, late 20s, neat uniform, name tag straight. Their smile flickered on when Maya approached, then flattened into something cooler once they took in her appearance. "Good morning," Maya said. "Checking in. Reservation should be under Ellison." Jordan tapped the keyboard. "I will need a photo ID and a credit card for incidentals." Their tone was clipped, professional in the way people got when they were already bracing for trouble. Maya slid her card and license across the counter. Out of the corner of her eye, she watched another clerk greet the white couple who had walked in behind her. There was laughter, a handshake, the words, "Welcome back." No request for ID. No careful scan of the card. Jordan frowned at the screen. "I am not seeing this reservation. Did you book through a third-party site?" "Here it is," Maya thought, the first layer. Her voice remained steady. "I booked directly on the app last night. You might want to check the corporate rate section." Jordan sighed, clearly annoyed, and began clicking faster. Maya let her eyes wander across the lobby. Housekeepers pushed carts near the far hallway. One of them paused, a small black woman with silver streaking her hair. Gloria Watkins. 35 years in this building. There had been a photo of her and Maya together in the last employee newsletter, arms around each other after a service award ceremony. Now Gloria hesitated, watching from a distance. Recognition flickered in her eyes. She started to step closer, then seemed to think better of it. She moved past behind the desk instead, leaning in just enough for her voice to reach Maya without caring. "Good morning, ma'am," Gloria said. "Some things in this place do not show up on a spreadsheet." Maya glanced at her, but Gloria had already moved on, pushing her cart toward the elevators like it was any other day. Jordan finally looked up from the screen. "There was a hold on this card from a previous stay. Our system flags that. We have to be careful, you understand." Behind Maya, the white couple was handed their keys with a flourish and a warm, "Enjoy your stay with us." Her jaw tightened for half a heartbeat. She smoothed it away before it could show. "I understand being careful," Maya said. "I also understand consistency." Jordan flushed, suddenly aware of the scene she had just created, without even raising her voice. Maya let the moment hang, then gave them an out. "Look, if there is a double charge, we can sort it out at checkout. I am only here for one night." She took the keycard Jordan slid across, feeling the familiar weight of power and powerlessness settle together in her chest. She had built this empire by believing that if you documented everything, if you followed every rule, the system would eventually have to side with you. Back when she and Alicia were fresh out of law school, they had won their first discrimination case with grainy security footage and a paper trail of complaints. That victory had carved something deep into her. If you have the receipts and you do not lose your temper, justice follows. As she crossed the lobby toward the elevators, she felt the old belief rise again, like muscle memory. The complaints, the patterns, the doorman, the ID, Jordan's tone, all of it was data, nothing more. She would gather it. She would present it. The board would not be able to ignore it once it was laid out clean. That was the story she told herself. What she did not admit, even to Alicia, was the other story that haunted her. The one where she was not the respected CEO, but the headline version. Angry black woman loses it in a hotel lobby. The version where all her degrees and all her billions could be collapsed into a 10-second clip without context. She paused near the center of the atrium, feeling a prickle at the back of her neck, the sense of being watched. She looked up. A small black dome sat high on the column above the front desk, red light pulsing. The camera she had approved on a contractor schedule years ago. There were dozens like it across the property. Silent witnesses she trusted more than half the people in the boardroom upstairs. As long as it is all recorded, she thought, the truth will protect me. The red light blinked back at her, steady and unbothered, already capturing the morning that would soon be cut apart and played back to the world out of order. It started as a tiny red line on a phone screen. Maya stood off to the side of the lobby, suitcase at her feet, thumb hovering over her banking app. One charge from the Ellison Grand, then another identical amount stacked right beneath it. There it was, the double charge. She walked back to the front desk, heels clicking on marble. Jordan glanced up, already tense. "Hi again," Maya said, voice even. "I am seeing 2 charges for the same night. Can you help me sort that out?" Jordan swallowed. Their eyes flicked to the reservation screen, then to a back office door, then back to Maya. "Our system does not double charge," they said, the words coming out flat. "If there is a second transaction, it is probably a hold. It will drop." "It is not a hold," Maya replied. "They are both posted, same amount, same timestamp." A couple of guests in line shifted, already annoyed there was an issue holding things up. Jordan felt their impatience like heat on the back of their neck. "Ma'am, we have policies," Jordan said. "Once a rate is confirmed, we cannot just change it." "I'm not asking you to change the rate." Maya kept her tone level. "I am asking you to remove a mistake." The office door opened. "Is there a problem here?" The voice was smooth and deep, practiced. Travis Cole stepped behind the counter as if he were taking the stage. Black suit, white shirt, tie knotted just a little tighter than comfort. His name tag caught the light. Jordan straightened. "Mr. Cole, she is saying there is a double charge, but the system is not showing a problem." Travis gave Maya a once-over, dark skin, navy dress, no jewelry that screamed money, no entourage, no obvious deference in her eyes. "Let me guess," he said lightly. "You saw something online and decided you found a loophole." Several staff nearby smirked. A bellman paused mid-step watching. Maya felt the first flare of anger, tamped it down. "I booked the corporate app. I am looking at my bank right now. 2 posted charges for 1 night. I would like one of them reversed." Travis leaned on the counter, closing the distance just enough to be intrusive. "I have been running luxury properties for 15 years, he said. "Our system does not just accidentally charge people twice. Folks who are not used to staying at this level sometimes misunderstand pre-authorizations." The word folks landed heavy. The rest of his sentence was quieter, but sharper. "There are other hotels in your price range if this one is a little much." Behind her, someone let out a short laugh before catching themselves. Maya's hand tightened on her phone. Her voice did not waver. "I know how pre-authorizations work. I also know how to read a ledger. This is a posted charge. I am simply asking you to correct it." Travis straightened. The friendly mask slipped a fraction. "Ma'am, I do not appreciate being accused of running a scam in my own lobby. You are holding up other guests." Jordan shifted, cheeks burning. They could see it now, clear as day. 2 charges on the screen that did not belong. It was a glitch. It was fixable, but Travis had already taken a side, and Jordan knew what happened to employees who made him look bad. "If you cannot afford the rate you agreed to," Travis went on, "we can always cancel your reservation and suggest somewhere more appropriate." The word hung there. Appropriate. Maya felt something in her chest click into place. All the stories that had crossed her desk, all the names in Gloria's neat handwriting. She could walk away. She could swallow it, file a report, fight it later in a conference room where no one had phones out. Or she could decide that this moment in this lobby under her name was the line. "I want to speak to someone with actual authority," she said quietly. Travis smiled, slow and humorless. "You are looking at him." He reached for her card across the counter. She pulled it back. "I will call corporate," Maya said. "We can clear this up directly." His hand shot out faster than she expected, fingers clamped around her wrist, hard enough the pain sparked up her arm. "You are not calling anybody from my lobby," he said, through clenched teeth. The room went very still. Conversations cut off mid-sentence. The mother with the 2 kids from earlier pulled them closer, eyes wide. Phones slid out of pockets on instinct. "Take your hand off me," Maya said. "Security," Travis barked toward the door. "We have a problem guest trying to scam a refund. She is becoming aggressive." He let go of her wrist and came around the counter, closing in, using his height, his suit, his status like weapons. Maya refused to step back. "This is my hotel," she said. Louder now. Travis laughed, sharp and ugly. "No," he said. "This is my lobby, and I am done with your little attitude." The crack of his hand across her cheek cut through the air like a gunshot. For a heartbeat, there was no sound at all. No one moved. The sting exploded across her face, hot and shocking. She did not scream. She did not reach back. She stood there, breathing evenly, while the weight of 100 eyes settled on her. The humiliation was not in the pain, but in the way people flinched and then looked away. In that stretched-out silence, both of them made their choice. Travis squared his shoulders, believing the room was already on his side, believing the word of a white manager against a black woman in a navy dress would be enough. He had done this before, in smaller ways. He knew how the story usually went. Problem guessed. Overreaction. She got loud. We had to remove her for everyone's safety. Maya reached into her purse with measured calm and pulled out her phone. Her cheek burned. Her heart pounded. Every instinct that had kept her alive in boardrooms and back rooms whispered at her to walk away, to avoid the scene, to let the lawyers handle it. She pressed the speaker button instead. The ringing echoed through the lobby. Everyone could hear it. Travis shifted, suddenly unsure. "Operations, this is Marcus," came the voice. "Marcus," Maya said. "This is Dr. Maya Ellison. I am standing in the lobby of the Ellison Grand. Your general manager just put his hands on me and slapped me across the face in front of multiple guests and staff." A collective inhale swept the room. On the other end of the line, Marcus Chen swore softly. "Maya, are you all right? Stay where you are. I am looping in Angela." Another click. "Angela Chen, HR." "Angela," Maya said, eyes still on Travis. "We are on speaker. This is being witnessed and recorded. Effective immediately, I want Mr. Cole's access revoked. No one touches the security footage without my authorization." Travis shook his head, forcing a laugh. "This is insane. She is lying. She is not Dr. Ellison. I have never seen this woman before in my life." From near the concierge desk, Gloria stepped forward. Her voice was low, but it carried. "Yes, you have," she said. "That is Dr. Ellison. That is the woman who signs our checks." Staff, who had smirked earlier, suddenly could not look up from the floor. Maya turned her body slightly so that every person in the lobby could see her, so that every raised phone had a clear view of her face and the faint red mark blooming there. "For those of you who do not recognize me," she said, "I am Dr. Maya Ellison, CEO and founder of Ellison Hospitality Group." She looked up at the black dome of the nearest camera. Its red light blinked back calmly. "Angela," she said into the phone, "note the time. We are initiating an emergency shutdown of this property for a full cultural and conduct review." Gasps rippled outward. Someone dropped their luggage. "Effective immediately," Maya said, voice ringing off marble and glass. "This property is shut down, and every single person who helped build this culture is done working in my house." The lobby emptied faster than anyone thought possible. Within an hour, bellmen were rolling suitcases toward idling shuttles, apologizing to confused guests with rehearsed lines about an unexpected systems issue. Front desk staff huddled behind monitors, voices low and shaky. Security lingered near the doors, pretending to control something that was already spinning far beyond their pay grade. Above it all, the Ellison Grand's chandelier glittered like nothing had happened. In a small conference room off the back hallway, Maya sat at the end of a cheap laminate table with a bag of ice pressed to her cheek. The quiet in here felt unreal after the chaos of the lobby. Through the frosted glass, she could still see shadows moving past, staff whispering, avoiding eye contact with the woman who had just shut down their world. Gloria Watkins stood in the doorway for a long moment before coming in. She had changed out of her housekeeping smock into an older blazer she kept on a hook in her office, just in case. It did not quite fit her shoulders anymore, but she wore it like armor. "You holding up Dr. Ellison?" Gloria asked. Maya lowered the ice. The red mark was already starting to swell. "I have been better," she said. Then, softer, "Sit down, Gloria." Gloria did not sit. Instead, she reached into the canvas tote bag on her arm and pulled out a thick, battered notebook. The cover was creased, edges darkened by years of handling. She set it on the table between them with surprising gentleness. I've been writing things down since '89, she said. Figured one day somebody might actually want to read it. Maya looked at the notebook. At the ink bled through from page to page. Dates, names, tiny, precise handwriting. 30-plus years of things that did not show up on a spreadsheet. Before she could open it, the conference room screen on the wall blinked to life. Marcus Chen's face appeared, tight with worry. A second later, more windows populated the screen, board members in home offices and corner suites. Finally, at the center, the composed face of Eleanor Briggs. "Good afternoon," Eleanor said. "I wish it were under different circumstances." Maya straightened, the notebook still closed under her hand. "You have seen the incident report," Marcus began. "The preliminary footage backs up what Maya described. There was physical contact. It is not ambiguous. Of course, any assault on an employee is unacceptable," Eleanor said quickly. "Much less on our CEO? No one is disputing that." Maya felt the butt long before Eleanor said it. "That said, we need to be very thoughtful about our next steps." Eleanor went on. "There are optics to consider. The Cole family is already calling this a misunderstanding that has been blown out of proportion. Our stock is down 3 points on early rumors alone. We cannot afford to appear rash." "So shutting down the flagship property was not the right call," one director added. "We have conferences booked for months. Major clients." Maya stared at the camera. "A general manager assaulted a black woman in the lobby in front of guests because he assumed she was lying and poor," she said. "The fact that that woman happens to own the building does not make it better. It makes it worse. And this is not a one-off. You have seen the complaints out of this property." "Which is exactly why we need a calm, coordinated response," Eleanor replied. Her tone was smooth, patient. "If we overcorrect in the heat of the moment, we expose ourselves to even more liability. We need to think about investors, long-term relationships, the founding family." There it was, the part no one wanted to say too plainly. The Cole name still sat on a lot of stock certificates. "They are already upset," another board member said. "Their nephew is calling in tears, saying he felt threatened. Their attorney is implying wrongful termination if we move too fast." Maya blinked. "He felt threatened," she repeated. "He is 6'2" and slapped me in my own lobby." "I am not defending him," Eleanor said quickly. "I am asking you to see the bigger picture. We can suspend him with pay while we conduct a quiet internal review. We can bring in an outside consultant, issue a statement about our ongoing commitment to equity. But perhaps you should step back from the front line of this for a bit. A short cooling off period for your own protection." The words landed like a familiar script. Rash. Emotional. Cooling off. Maya could practically hear the talking points being drafted in some PR inbox. Marcus shifted in his window. "Maya's shutdown gives us leverage to investigate," he said carefully. "If we reopen too quickly, we send the wrong message to staff." "I'm not saying reopen tomorrow," Eleanor answered. "I am saying we frame this as a facilities review, not a cultural crisis. We keep control of the narrative. The Cole family is very concerned about this going public. They are asking for restraint." Maya felt something cold creep up the back of her neck. They were already more worried about headlines than about the slap itself. "Here is what I am asking for," she said. "HR pulls every complaint from this property for the last 5 years. Legal reviews responses. We interview staff without management present. We treat this like the pattern it is, not an isolated bad day. And you let us manage communications." Eleanor replied. "No more big dramatic moves until we have had time to assess." Agreed. It was not a question. Maya hesitated. She still believed in the power of the record, in the idea that once the truth was documented, even the most cautious board would have to act. "If we get enough proof," she said slowly, "you will not be able to ignore what has been happening there." Eleanor smiled, thin and practiced. "Gather your proof," she said. "We all want the same thing, Maya, a stable company that lives up to its values." The call ended. The room felt smaller when the screen went dark. Gloria finally sat, folding her hands over the notebook. "They always say that," she murmured. "Soon as somebody important gets hurt, suddenly everybody wants to talk about values." That night, in a one-bedroom apartment across town, Jordan Pike sat cross-legged on their couch, phone glowing in the dark. The staff group chat was buzzing. "Y'all see the show today. She lost her mind over a rate dispute. Pulled the race card so fast, poor Mr. Cole. One message read, "Always trying to keep this place in line. Now he is gonna pay for it." Someone had already turned a freeze frame of Maya in mid-sentence into a meme. Eyes wide, mouth open, captions about crazy CEOs and angry black women. A short, shaky video clip showed her saying, "Effective immediately. This property is shut down." Chopped, so it cut just before. Travis raised his hand. Jordan's stomach twisted. They could still feel the heat of Travis's glare when they hesitated at the computer. They could still see the second charge on the screen. They could still hear the crack of that slap in their own head. Another notification popped up. Travis Cole. "Do not worry, team. Corporate knows she overreacted. This will blow over. Family will handle it." There were heart reactions, laughing emojis, messages of support. Jordan locked the phone and dropped it on the couch like it had burned them. Guilt and fear tangled in their chest. They knew this was wrong. They knew deep down that if someone did not speak up, the official story would be the one Travis was already writing. But they also knew how fast a person could disappear from this industry for crossing the wrong manager. Rent was due at the end of the month. Student loans did not care about integrity. In a different part of the city, in a quiet hotel suite where the curtains were still open to the Atlanta skyline, Maya sat alone with Gloria's notebook open in front of her. Page after page of ink, slurs written out in full, incidents with dates and times, complaints filed, complaints ignored, her email pinged, new message, no subject line, no name. She almost deleted it on reflex. Then the preview line caught her eye. "They are already cutting the security footage." She opened it. "You do not know me. I cannot use my name yet. But you need to understand this will not stop with Travis. His family is already working on an edited version of what happened in the lobby today. They are calling in favors. This will be the system protecting itself, not just one bad manager." The last line was short. Do not trust the cameras to tell the whole truth. The first time Maya saw the video, it was on mute in the corner of a gym TV. Grainy cell phone footage. Her face on screen, mouth moving, arm lifted as she spoke. Big block letters crawled underneath. CEO meltdown at luxury hotel. Someone had dropped a distorted audio track over it, turning her measured orders into something high-pitched and jagged. There was no Travis in the frame, no hand connecting with her cheek, no pause where the entire lobby held its breath. Just her voice, cut to sound hysterical, and the line effective immediately. This property is shut down, clipped out of context, and looped again and again. By noon, racist CEO and Dabisalsaker power trip Maya were trending. Talk shows debated whether she had overreacted. Financial anchors asked if Ellison Hospitality had a leadership problem. A red ribbon on the screen showed the stock sliding downward. By 3, she was walking into the boardroom. Every director was there in person this time. Suits, folders, tablets already open to news articles. Eleanor stood at the head of the table, posture perfect. "No one here is denying that discrimination is real," Eleanor began, "or that what happened in that lobby was ugly. But the way you responded, Maya, the mass termination, the shutdown, that looks impulsive to the outside world." "Outside world saw a cut-up video," Maya said. "You have the full footage. You know he hit me." A younger director cleared his throat. "The full video helps legally," he said, eyes darting around. "But perception is perception. Our institutional investors are nervous. They are asking if the company is being run on emotion instead of strategy." "So what are you really asking?" Maya said. Eleanor folded her hands. "That you step back. Administrative leave while an independent review is conducted. It protects you and the company." "You want to bench the person who got hit," Maya answered quietly, "to keep peace with the family of the man who threw the punch." Silence. No one met her eyes. The vote was fast. A few abstained. Most did not. By 5:00, she was handing her company phone and laptop to a security supervisor who had greeted her with "Yes, Mom" for a decade. He would not look up as he took the devices. Another guard walked a half step behind her to the elevator, a performance of neutrality that felt like an arrest. Employees watched from doorways and hallways as she passed. Some had tears in their eyes. Some stared at the floor. A few, the ones who had laughed in the group chats, wore expressions that hovered just shy of satisfied. Outside, cameras flashed. Questions flew. "Do you regret your actions, Dr. Ellison? Did you fire white staff because of their race?" Are you stepping down permanently? She did not answer. Her driver opened the door. Atlanta blurred past the window all the way home. That night, she sat on her couch in sweats, remote in hand, watching herself be turned into a caricature on every channel. They slowed frames to catch the wildness in her eyes that had never been there. They brought on guests to speculate about her temper. Her entire career compressed into a cautionary tale. Her voicemail filled up. "Dr. Ellison, I was there," a young male voice said on one. "I saw him hit you. You did not lose control. You held it together. You showed me what that looks like." "Baby, this is Gloria," came another. "They've been doing this to folks like us long before you walked into that lobby. But I have never seen one of us fight this far up the ladder. Do not let them turn you into their story." Other messages came from former staff, from guests who remembered how she had treated them at grand openings and ribbon cuttings, people who had believed in the version of her that did not make the news. Still, as the footage replayed, a different fear settled in. Not just fear of losing her title or her company, but of losing the narrative of her own life. She could feel it slipping, the way headlines were already rewriting her from black woman who built an empire into angry black CEO who ruined a perfectly good hotel. Her phone buzzed with a text. "Alicia, they just hit the one thing that makes their whole system weak. They messed with the truth. My office, 8 a.m. Bring every ounce of fire you have left." Alicia's office looked less like a law firm and more like a crime board from a detective show. Walls covered in blown-up emails, complaint logs, screenshots, colored tape connecting dates to names. In the center, a frozen frame of Travis leaning over the front desk, hand midair, eyes hard. "This is not about a bad manager with a temper," Alicia said, pacing in front of the wall. "This is about power." She tapped a stack of printed emails on the conference table. 6 months of back and forth between the Cole family and a hedge fund out of New York. They want to buy the Ellison Grand, maybe more. But here is the kicker. She flipped to a highlighted paragraph. They are insisting on new leadership. Their words, someone less political, less progressive, less woke. Maya stared at the page. Her name, the company she built, reduced to a risk factor. "So getting me out was already on the table," she said slowly, "before he ever touched me." "Oh, it gets better," Alicia replied. "They needed a reason. Now they have a viral video and a scared board." Later that afternoon, in the old housekeeping office that still smelled faintly of bleach and lemon, Gloria pulled 2 more notebooks from her locker. She laid them out on the folding table with a care that felt almost ceremonial. "That first one I showed you," she said, "that was just the last 10 years. Maya flipped through pages. Handwritten entries in looping script. Date. Time. What was said. Who said it. Guest names. Staff names. A pattern that stretched back before she had even graduated law school. At the bottom of one page was a photocopy of a memo from a former general manager. The subject line read, "Ongoing racial bias concerns at Ellison Grand." Corporate response stamped across the bottom in small, neat font. Addressed locally. No further action. "He tried," Gloria said. "Before you. They buried him and the memo both. I figured next time somebody in charge might really mean that equity talk. I would be ready." For the first time, the weight of it landed all the way. Maya was not the first person to see it or say it. She was just the first one close enough to the center to flip the table over. 2 nights later, a nervous knock sounded on Alicia's office door long after closing. Jordan stood there in jeans and a hoodie, eyes rimmed red, a thumb drive clenched in their fist. "I cannot keep pretending I did not see it," they blurted before Alicia could speak. "He told us to edit the footage, cut out the slap. He said his family would handle the rest." They set the drive down like it might explode. "There is the original lobby video," Jordan said. "All angles. And there are screenshots from the staff chats. Him calling her that woman, saying he would put her in her place. Instructions to flag black guests as potential trouble. It is all there." When they were gone, Alicia plugged in the drive. The real footage filled the screen. No cuts, no distortion, just a man in a black suit escalating again and again until his hand met Maya's face. Maya watched in silence. When it ended, she spoke without looking away. "They keep saying the system failed," she said. "But it did not fail. It did exactly what it was built to do." She turned to Alicia. "It protects the ones at the top," she went on. "It punishes anybody who says no. The slap was just the part everybody could hear. Alicia slid a thick binder across the table. Then let us use the part they forgot about. Investor agreement? Maya asked. Article 7, Section 12, Alicia said. A civil rights clause someone probably insisted on years ago so they could brag about it in diversity reports. It allows the CEO to call a special shareholder vote if there is evidence of discrimination and retaliation, and it lets shareholders strip voting rights from any bloc involved. Maya flipped through, scanning the dense legalese until she found the highlighted paragraph. Her own signature sat at the back of the agreement. She had signed it thinking it was symbolic. Good optics. They wrote this to make themselves look good, Alicia said. Now we make it real. Maya closed the binder, hand resting on the cover. For days, she had been trying to get back to her old seat at the table. Suddenly, the chair looked small compared to what was really at stake. They think this is about my job, she said. They think if they push me out, the story ends. She looked up at the wall, at Travis's frozen hand, at the lines connecting names and dates and deals. They did not just slap me, Maya said, voice low and certain. They woke up the lawyer I used to be. The Magnolia Ballroom smelled like money and fear. Crystal chandeliers, thick carpet, rows of white linen-covered tables. At the front, a long dais for the board, a podium with 2 microphones, and behind it, a massive screen frozen on the Ellison Hospitality logo. Every chair was filled, shareholders in suits. Journalists with press badges, lawyers with legal pads already open, cameras from the financial networks lined one wall, red lights glowing. Maya sat at the front table next to Alicia, a neat stack of folders in front of them. Gloria was behind them in the second row, hands folded over her purse, wearing the same slightly too big blazer she had worn to the first award ceremony years ago. At the podium, Eleanor Briggs tapped the microphone. I call this emergency shareholders meeting to order, she said. We are here to discuss recent events at the Ellison Grand and their impact on the company. She launched into a carefully worded opening about volatility and reputational risk. She mentioned social media, the need for stability, the importance of honoring the company's legacy. She never used the word slap. Alicia leaned over in a brief lull. Ready, she murmured. Maya nodded once. Eleanor finished her remarks and forced a smile. Dr. Ellison has requested time to address the shareholders. In the interest of transparency, the board has agreed. She stepped back. For a second, the room held its breath. Maya stood and walked to the podium. Her navy dress was simple. Her new bruise was gone, but everyone in the room had seen it on screens for a week. Thank you for being here, she said. I know everyone in this room cares about what happens to this company. I need us to be honest about why we are really here. She clicked the remote in her hand. The screen behind her lit up with a familiar image. The hotel lobby, the front desk, Travis leaning in. The sound of his voice filled the ballroom. Let me guess. You saw something online and decided you found a loophole. No background music, no distortion, just the raw feed. They watched him escalate. They watched him grab her wrist. They heard her say, "Take your hand off me." The crack of the slap echoed through the speakers. Several people flinched. The video kept rolling. Her call to Marcus, Gloria, stepping forward. The shutdown announcement, the whole sequence, no cuts. When it ended, Maya turned back to the room. This is not a personal drama between me and a manager, she said, each word deliberate. This is a culture. It is who gets believed, who gets protected, who gets punished for saying no. She clicked again, screens filled with images from Gloria's notebook blown up large enough for the back row to see. Dates, names, incident descriptions in Gloria's neat handwriting. A second slide showed the old memo from the previous general manager warning corporate of racist practices. The corporate stamp at the bottom read, addressed locally, no further action. These are not my notes, Maya said. These are Gloria Watkins's notes. 30-plus years of discrimination at our flagship property that never made it into the glossy brochures you hand out at investor lunches. Another click. Screenshots from the staff group chat appeared. Travis's messages about problem guests, jokes, about race. The line that seemed to hang in the air even after the slide moved on. Put that woman in her place. These are not my words, Maya said. They are his. She clicked again. This time it was emails. Excerpts from the Cole family's correspondence with the hedge fund. Phrases highlighted in yellow. concern about current leadership's focus on social issues, desire for a more traditional management style, a clause that conditioned the sale on a change in CEO. For months, Maya said, while we were telling the world that we were committed to equity, the founding family was negotiating to sell this hotel on the condition that I be removed for being too focused on justice. Murmurs broke out around the room. Attorneys whispered to clients. One of the older directors shifted in his seat, face pale. Alicia stepped up beside Maya, a legal pad in her hand. Article 7, Section 12 of the Investor Agreement, Alicia said, voice carrying. The civil rights provision. It allows the CEO to call a special vote when there is evidence of discrimination and retaliation. It allows shareholders to strip voting rights from any bloc found to be complicit. She held up a copy of the clause, projected on the screen behind them, Maya's signature clearly visible at the bottom of the original agreement. Today, Maya said, looking from one table to the next, I am invoking that clause. The room went quiet in a new way, not the polite silence of a presentation, but the stillness before a storm. You have a choice, she told them. You can protect the people who covered up patterns like this and orchestrated a smear campaign against your own CEO. Or you can use the tools you brag about in your ESG reports and say this is not who we are. Eleanor tried to interject, talking about the need for careful review, but the energy had shifted. For once, the cameras did not feel like they belonged to the networks. They felt like witnesses. Electronic tablets were passed out to voting shareholders. Instructions appeared on the big screens. Press 1 to support the Cole family retaining full voting rights. Press 2 to trigger the Civil Rights Clause and suspend them. The only sound was the soft tap of fingers on glass. From where she sat, Gloria could see faces, some angry, some ashamed, some for the first time honestly conflicted. A timer counted down on the screen. 90 seconds, 60, 30. Maya felt her heart beating in her throat. She had always told herself she did not fear losing money, only losing herself, but watching strangers decide whether to stand with her or with the men who thought they owned her name was a different kind of vulnerability. Finally, the numbers froze. Eleanor received a small device from a clerk, stared at it for a long second, then went back to the microphone. The motion passes, she said, voice tight. By a significant margin, effective immediately, the Cole family's voting rights are suspended under Article 7, Section 12. Any sale contingent on leadership changes is nullified. The room erupted into overlapping noise. Some cheers, some angry shouts. Lawyers stood at once, huddling around their clients. At the side of the room, Travis shot to his feet. "This is ridiculous," he snapped. "You all know what really happened. She lost it in my lobby. She is destroying this company. My family built that hotel. You cannot do this to me." Two uniformed officers who had been waiting unobtrusively near the back stepped forward. "Travis Cole," one said, raising his voice, "you are under arrest for assault and for tampering with evidence in an ongoing corporate investigation." The room went strangely quiet again. "You have got to be kidding," Travis said, backing up a step. "Do you know who I am?" "Sir, place your hands behind your back," the officer replied. When Travis hesitated, the click of the cuffs was louder than it needed to be. Cameras zoomed in. Someone from the back row actually clapped, before catching themselves, as they led him down the aisle past shareholders who suddenly wanted to look anywhere else. His eyes found Maya. "This is not over," he said. The words came out smaller than he meant them to. She did not answer. He disappeared through the ballroom doors, still sputtering about lawyers and birthrights. But whatever career he thought he had left that morning ended right there in front of the people who had once protected him. Later, when most of the crowd had dispersed and the cameras had gone off air, Maya sat at a side table signing document after document. Settlement terms, formal notices of suspended rights, authorizations for new audits and reviews. Her hand cramped. Her back ached. The adrenaline had faded, leaving something heavier behind. "You won," one of the younger directors said quietly as he passed her. She looked up at him. "We all lost something today," she answered. "Some of us just needed to." By the time she stepped outside, the sun was starting to sink. From the Magnolia's driveway, she could see the Ellison Grand a few blocks away, its glass catching the orange light. The name at the top still shone gold. She stood there for a long moment, watching the building that carried her family name. She knew now it had never been just about saving her title. The next fight would not be in ballrooms or board portals. It would be in hiring rooms, training sessions, the small, unrecorded moments at front desks and back halls. She exhaled, a slow, controlled breath. The system had shed a layer today. Not enough to call it clean, enough to expose what had always been beneath it. Then she turned toward her car, already thinking about what it would take to make that building live up to its sign for the people who looked like her. 3 months later, the lobby did not feel like the same place. The marble was the same. The chandelier still threw light across the ceiling. But near the entrance, mounted on a fresh pane of glass, a new brass plaque caught the morning sun. The Ellison Grand, where dignity is our foundation. Next to it hung a framed civil rights commitment, written in plain language anyone could understand. Zero tolerance for discrimination, transparent complaint process, whistleblower protections, not as slogans, but as policy. Inside, Gloria Watkins crossed the lobby with a tablet in her hand and a radio at her hip. Her blazer fit better now. The limp from her old injury was still there, but people no longer looked through her. Staff nodded as she passed. "Morning, Mrs. Watkins," the new front desk supervisor said. "Morning," Gloria answered. "How are we doing on check-ins?" Behind the desk, a small sign read, "Complaints and concerns will be heard and investigated. No retaliation." A QR code led to a report line that went to a third-party firm Alicia had helped vet herself. In a glass-walled office off the lobby, Jordan stood at the head of a training table. A slide on the screen behind them titled, "The Travis Cole Case." Half a dozen new hires watched, some wide-eyed, some taking notes. "We show you this," Jordan said, "not to scare you, but so you understand what we are never going back to. Bias is not just about slurs. It is who you believe when there is a problem, who you look at twice, who you assume does not belong." They clicked, and a clip played, not the slap. Just the moment before, when Maya said, "This is my hotel," and no one in the old lobby believed her. Across the room, the front doors opened. An older black couple stepped in, holding hands. Behind them, a boy about 8 dragged a rolling backpack shaped like a race car, eyes darting everywhere at once. "Welcome to the Ellison Grand," the supervisor said, smiling. "Name on the reservation?" "Washington," the man replied. "Harold and Denise. And this is our grandson, Marcus. It is his birthday trip." "Happy birthday, Marcus," the supervisor said, like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Mr. and Mrs. Washington, I see you booked a Standard King. We have taken the liberty of upgrading you to one of our family suites at no extra charge. I think you will like the view." No one asked for an extra deposit. No one eyed their luggage. No one talked down to them. Their names were used once and used correctly. The boy took off across the lobby toward the big windows, sneakers squeaking on the marble. Near a corner column, half in shadow, Maya watched. She wore the same navy dress she had worn the morning everything broke open, but her posture was different. Less braced for impact, more grounded. From where she stood, she could see the Washington's hesitant expressions melt into genuine surprise, then something like relief. For a split second, the scene doubled. The glow of the chandelier dissolved into the harsh fluorescence of a roadside motel lobby in 1985. Her father arguing quietly with a desk clerk who kept saying, "Sorry, no vacancies," while the vacancy sign blinked neon red just outside the window. Her mother squeezing her hand as they walked back to the car. The cramped ache of sleeping in the back seat while a hotel like this stood half empty down the highway. She looked back at Marcus, forehead pressed to the glass, counting the stories of the building across the street like it was a game, not a barrier he might someday have to fight. Winning, she realized, had never really been about a man in handcuffs or a family losing its voting rights. That was justice on paper, necessary but incomplete. The real victory was this ordinary moment that did not have to turn into a story. A black family checking in without being made into a problem. A black child running through the lobby of the hotel that once refused to see people like him as belonging. Gloria joined her at the column, following her gaze. "Looks different now, doesn't it?" Gloria said. "It feels like it finally matches the sign," Maya answered. They stood there for a quiet beat, listening to the low hum of a hotel finally doing what it was supposed to do. "The thing about consequences," Maya said, more to herself than to Gloria, "is they do not just show up as lost jobs or court dates. They show up as the kind of place we turn into when we let certain behavior slide. Gloria nodded, and when we do not, she said, they show up as this. Maya watched Marcus dart back to his grandparents, watched the way the staff smiled at them without flinching, without overperforming. Justice does not fall from the sky, she said. You have to drag it into the room, and sometimes the room fights you for it. She touched the edge of the brass plaque on the wall on her way out, fingers brushing the word dignity. The slap did not end in that lobby, she thought. It still echoes in every choice we make about who deserves respect and who does not. The only question is which echo we decide to stand with. If this story hit something in you, take a moment to support the channel, drop a like, share it with someone who cares about justice, and subscribe so you do not miss the next story. On your screen, you will find a couple of other stories I picked just for you. Thank you for listening, and take care of each other out there.